until we actually go live. 3, 2. Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel the Ranks, the show where we debate takes so hot that they melt a planet with twin suns. My name is Brody, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Amanda, and a special co-host that we have in the studio tonight. By the end of this episode, we are going to have a definitive answer where Andor, Season 1, Episode 12 ranks amongst the rest of the Star Wars content. With that, let's get this show started. We've got a lot of ranks, we got a lot of hot takes, and we got a hotter guest in attendance with us tonight. But who am I to say that? Amanda, who joins us in the studio for the first time? We've had a guest in studio with us tonight,
sitting in Christian's chair. Yeah, big.
Who is this person?
This is, you've known him, you've loved him. You may remember him from the video game ranking episode. This is Jake, my husband.
Hi, everyone.
For anyone who doesn't know how good of a guest he is, Amanda wasn't even in, he wasn't even in the same room when we were recording that session that night, and she went as far as to marry him.
Yeah.
Leaves an impression.
He's got great game.
Yep.
Thank you.
He actually is the reason I became a Star Wars fan, so he is a great guest to have here.
It's also the reason I became a Star Wars fan. I knew Star Wars far before Jake, but you've definitely helped my passion for it because you also just love Star Wars, man.
Absolutely.
Like Amanda, you have some tattoos
Yep.
of Star Wars, and that doesn't go like any more serious in my mind than that.
Yeah,
You
lifelong
could name your
commitment.
kid after Star Wars. That's pretty serious.
Whoa. Do you have, like, if you were to decide, like, there was a
Yeah.
name you'd be good with?
Jedi.
Jedi.
You
Jedi
would
first
name
name.
son or daughter Jedi?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Jedi middle name Starkiller.
Or we could go more traditional with Ben.
Ben.
In honor of my
It's like the
favorite
most
Star Wars
boring
character.
I like
Star
how
Wars
he's
name.
taking the
and
conservative
Oh,
route
no.
there.
Ben Solo.
I mean, I love me some Ben Solo, but Ben is literally the most boring name. It's down there with Tim
Fine.
for.
How about Linus?
Linus Musk. That's
Well,
way too much to live
I
up
think
to.
Christian's taken that for his next
Yeah, he's
child.
got first dibs on that for sure.
Linus
We can't steal his baby
fermenting.
name.
Insert his last name here. It won't dox him.
Yeah, fomenting
Um,
middle name. I like that.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight's episode. We're breaking down the finale of Andor, and Christian's just disliked this show so much that he just dipped.
It's like I
there's-
quit.
It became too
Now he'll be
political. Amanda and you just went toe to toe, and he's like, you know what, Brody, you need to debate her. I'm
Yeah.
tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm not doing this anymore. To be fair, I actually did have and it wasn't even a debate really. We did talk on the phone about the show today, about what we thought it was, and
Wait, you and Christian?
no, you and I.
Oh, okay. We did, but I didn't know if you were
I'm
also
glad
talking
to
about
know you were
Christian.
paying attention. I call and she's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was an intense debate, and she's like, I guess that did happen. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah, that did happen.
I was like, fuck.
Every conversation I have is an intense debate.
Oh wow, that's just life. Is that true, Jake?
I bring intensity to most conversations.
Yeah, I'd say that checks out.
White bread. I want wheat. Cool. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll put this back.
I'm gonna put this over here.
Sorry.
For the folks who don't remember, like, and they're watching Andor, 4 years from now,
Yeah.
and they're, or someone needs a refresher, and they're watching this show 4 years after watching Andor, and they need a refresher what the finale was all about. What was this dope piece of Star Wars content about, Amanda, in summary?
In summary, this final episode of Andor was surrounding Marva's funeral, which brought the entire community of Ferrix together in a traditional funeral parade that led to a intense standoff between the Imperial forces and the ISB. A lot of the characters from the whole season ended up being in this one tight spot, which led to an explosion of new directions that the second season will undoubtedly lead into.
Got feelings? Did we like it? Did we hate it? Do we love it? Is there anything less than just at least liking this episode? I feel like it's a hard episode to just hate
Yeah.
all out.
No, I don't think you can hate it. Do I think it was better than like The Eye? No. I mean, this show is able to give us some really memorable, great moments. And I think it justifiably wrapped up the season.
Absolutely. I think pound for pound, episode for episode, we got a very solid standard of quality from this first season, and the finale helped drive it all home, left some things unresolved for season 2. So
almost a little too unresolved. Like it left us hanging there like, oh, you're going to end it here? Of all things, like Brody, the first thing you said after we watched it was like, that's it? Like that's where you're going to leave us?
Yeah.
Like you wanted so much more.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
I can't say after Obi-Wan, I was just like, please
take it away.
take like we're done. Like, and that's the sad thing. Like I when I go back and I watch clips of that, like it is a good show, but I never, when you got done, you're just like, okay, like I let's not reintroduce the character in this fashion again. Which, Jake, I mean, maybe you should. I mean, I should ask you this earlier tonight. You told me Obi-Wan Kenobi was your favorite Star Wars character. I've never had the chance to ask you about that show. Before we keep going, did you enjoy Kenobi?
I did, yeah. Absolutely.
Throughout.
Yes.
Was a 78% that we gave that show a fair score?
I think so.
Okay.
I stand
Looking
by
at
that.
it from a critical eye, yeah, it wasn't perfect. Some things were done, executed not as well as they could have been, for sure. But that show was a nostalgia bomb. It was great to see my boy Ewan McGregor put the robe back on and see Hayden Christensen back as Anakin. So as someone who's who regards the prequel films a lot higher than most, it checked the boxes for me.
I was just on a call today and defended episode 3 as the best Star Wars film of all time.
It's up there.
Yeah.
In my list, definitely.
So going back to this, and the reason I was asking about that 78%, right now, we don't have Christian's score yet. So we can't really give the definitive answer on where this is ranking. But Amanda and I gave it some nice marks. I mean, I have it an 89.2% out of 100. And, Amanda, you have an 82%. The show itself, in total, sits at a 77.88, whereas Kenobi is a 78%. So, as long as Christian doesn't tank this episode,
it'll be better.
It will edge out barely Kenobi, which is really interesting because I think, for the most part, as hosts, we've loved this show so much more.
It's for totally different reasons, though. Like, we've discussed how Obi-Wan was such a nostalgia bomb and relied a lot on those emotions. And Andor, we kind of had to release any prior knowledge that we would have. Like, I don't know if you remember, but we did create bingo cards for the show, and it became totally irrelevant because nothing about the show was a bingo card for Star Wars. There was no, I've got a bad feeling about this. It's a trap, Force be with you. Like, there wasn't anything we could have predicted, and that was exactly how it should have been.
I did get Tamari Morrison.
You did?
Tamara Morrison, yeah.
Was he there?
I mean, no.
Voice talent.
But there was Clone Troopers.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
I mean,
it doesn't.
Do we even hear Clone Troopers give dialogue in this series?
No, we don't.
Okay, so it doesn't count.
They're there. And I don't know. I got excited
there in spirit.
I got excited seeing them. So who's got the better Clone Trooper voice? Is it Tamara Morrison or is it, what's his name, Matt something from
Not
Clone
Matt.
Wars?
It's
when it comes to
case in point, you can't remember the other guy's
I
name.
know his Bradley D. Baker.
Yes, Bradley D. Baker.
There you go.
Hot
I didn't
take.
even have to look it up.
When it comes to clones, I prefer his voice.
Even though he's Wrecker?
Yes. Like I play in Star Wars Battlefront, I'm like, these are the clones' voices
yeah,
now.
that's how I feel too. I'm a Bradley D. Baker fan.
Not anything Boba or Jango. It's got to be Tamora. But what do you think, Jake?
So Bradley D. Baker did the clone voices in the animated series, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really
he's the voice of
hard
Rex
debate, yeah, because he voices so many iconic clones within the army, but he's also the ubiquitous voice for clones in general.
I just think that he was able to give them more emotion than I think Temuera. When you see what he does a good job of being stoic
Yeah.
and giving you this militaristic vibe. When I've seen him deviate, oftentimes it feels campy for me.
Mhm.
Not always. I mean, he was great in like Moana and Aquaman, but like Bradley D. Breaker brought it.
Yeah.
So
But back to Andor, since Tamara Morrison wasn't a part of Andor. Sorry.
I worked him into this episode as best as I could, and now we got to move on.
We've got some comments in here, and so it's great to have some viewers. Oh, Rural Farm Boy, thanks
Hey.
for joining. Bradley D.
Bradley
Baker. Yeah,
Baker,
D. Bradley
not
Baker.
Bradley
Okay,
D.
thank
Baker.
you. Thank you for the correction. Rural Farm Boy, appreciate it. No, I want to talk about one of the most nuanced things in this episode that I picked up on was Mon Mothma in the car with Perrin. Like she's waiting there and you see her getting nervous. And I had picked up from that scene that she knew that Clovis was a spy and had been reporting her to the ISB. So she planted that scapegoat of Perrin's gambling so that they would push that back to the Empire
guns on
and
him.
not be as suspicious about her.
So now Mon is fully committed to make the necessary sacrifices to get the rebellion up and running.
Yeah, that was savage.
Yeah,
I loved
sacrificing
that.
her husband, who, to be fair, is kind of a tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really tense, well executed scene.
Yeah, clever.
So good.
A deep chess move.
My respect for Mon skyrocketed in that instance. Yeah. I mean, you already knew that marriage was like it wasn't in a great position. It was a business move from the jump, and she made a business decision.
Yeah, she made a boss-ass move. Like, you could tell that Perrin, the way that he treated her, he thought that she was kind of just dumb or like too emotionally attached to different things. And she played it off in such a great way that she knew how to, I don't know, make him suspicious.
Yeah, it's good to see her fully committed. I can't wait to see her take more of an active leadership role in the following season.
I never thought I'd care so much about the beginning of the rebellion. And then I watched this show, and now I'm so heavily invested. I care so much about how this is all going to play out.
So at the beginning of this season, you famously said that you just don't care about Mon Mothma.
Yep.
How do you feel about her now?
When it comes to the Rebel Alliance, I like her character more than Princess Leia now.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
You should have saved that for the hot take section.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I do. I think Princess Leia was born into the rebellion from the jump, whereas like she's never really known true freedom. The Empire was her life, and she knows it's bad because her dad told her it was, and she was raised and conditioned to fight this thing. Whereas Mon Mothma is a person who had freedom, who saw liberty die, and had no real reason to give up everything. I mean, her life was cush. Everything about it was fine. And now she's basically saying, screw it. Screw family, screw this. I've got to find a way. Even though, and she's having to learn, I have to get my hands dirty. And she, in doing so, Leia didn't lose everything. Leia didn't. I mean, she lost, yes, her home and all that stuff.
I was
like, you can't just sweep
planet.
Alderaan under the rug.
Listen, there's only like 1 million people there. But like, Mon Mothma really did have a life before, is my point. Like, yes, Princess Leia lost a lot. Let's not turn that into a soundbite. But my point is, like, Mon Mothma is really turning her back on everything she was to be a new person and start something when, there really isn't a rebellion. And it shows that they need someone like her. They need someone that's more than a bank, someone who can be a voice, someone who's like, her voice fell on deaf ears in the Senate. And so now she's going to lend it. And you see it's so much more impactful now in A New Hope when she talks about many Bothans died to get us information. You see that she kind of helps rouse people and inspire them to act like she used to do in the Senate, but for people that are actually willing to listen. And it's powerful. For me, a lot more and that's not debating Carrie Fisher or whoever plays Mon Mothma, but if I had to pick which Star Wars character I like more after seeing the scope of Star Wars, I'm taking Mon Mothma.
Wow.
Well, if we were in the hot takes section, that would be a tough one to grapple with. So I'm kind of glad that you delivered it early, because
so then I would
I'd have to
give you a
reevaluate
Roger,
some
Roger.
things.
You were gonna give that a Roger, Roger?
I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know. I might
What could have been?
Might have to just say it again.
No, you know what? I actually would give it a Roger, Roger. I think you argued that very perfectly. Even though I don't personally agree with it, it ruffles my feathers, and you made a really sound argument. So
let's go.
Wow.
Mon Mothma walked so
Mommy
Leia could
Mothma.
run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Genevieve O'Reilly, by the way, is
Yes.
the
There you
actress's
go.
name. And what a performance from her this season. Playing the insecurities and the self-doubts and the
pressure
paranoia,
of
and just like, how do I
motherhood
pull
and-
this off?
Yeah.
So the solution that she devised in this episode.
But the thing
way
was
to
that
go, girl.
it seemed like, we have a comment here from Rural Farm Boy. Just curious, who on the pod did I share spoiler news with? If you don't want to say, just put up a hand.
Probably Christian.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Christian's the one of us that tweets
And
also,
doesn't see. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
he is the tweeter of the group. You are the TikToker.
Yes.
I am the moocher.
Yes.
I don't do anything. I am going to start a Discord. So that's going to be my thing. So for people that like Discord, maybe just Rural Farm Boy and I will have conversations every day.
Yeah, we can rank all things and not
I
even
want to talk
just-
about a lot more than just Star Wars. Like I want to rank like pizzas.
Oh,
Like a daily ranks. I'm gonna have a channel for just random stuff every day. Like top pizzas go, top burgers go. Hot take, it's not In-N-Out. So
you're speaking my language.
whoa.
Where and when you get that channel set up, let me know. I'll be there.
All right,
with the
cool.
pizza takes and the burger takes.
Let's go. There will be once a week Star Wars hot takes, but
Brody, I see on this table that you gave the characters a 5 out of 5.
yeah, what more do you want?
That's coming a long way from someone who every week kept saying that Cassian was boring and not a good character and wasn't acting.
Yeah, he was finally somewhat interesting this week. Now,
See,
that
I
was
saw
awesome.
the same performance that I've seen every week, so I don't
think
know.
so?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, don't get me wrong. Those around him are still elevating him because he's
meant to be kind of like kind of a wallflower-ish.
Foot soldier.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I just liked the way there's times where he responds well with that very flat personality, responds well to those around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one rebel who basically said, hey, we could take the cash and run. And
Yeah.
Andor just completely flips the table on him and just shoots him. Those are the times that flat personality, it's, it works well for him. And I think because there was so much going on in this episode, that really worked. And also, there was so many great character moments in this that even though for me, he might have been 3.5 stars out of 5 for me, the overall impact of things like his mother's speech, Marva, oh my goodness. And I think, Jake, you pointed out she got in one final hit, even in death, where that big boy took that brick and just
It's like
across the face.
That
What
is a dream
beautiful
come true
send-off
for
that
Marva's
character.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved how Brasso, memorized the last words that Marva wanted to give to Andor or to Cassian, and how I think that shows a lot about his character, how carefully he listened to those words, and he had to have recited them to himself over and over again to get that correct. And I wrote down part of the quote that I thought was really amazing. It was, tell him he knows everything he needs to know and feels everything he needs to feel. And when the day comes and those two pull together, he will be an unstoppable force for good. And that was, I mean, among so many other moments in this season, in this series, the story writing and the dialogue has been top notch all the way through.
Yeah. To the point where maybe some of the best we've ever gotten out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like this,
Poetic.
this was truly a like cerebral espionage thriller drama.
Yeah.
I mean, the stakes were so high. This is one where you had to keep track of all the characters' motives and plays at all times,
Mhm.
to the point where what was going on immediately with Andor almost felt one-dimensional at times, because you're like, what is Luthen thinking? What's the move that he's planning after the next move?
Yeah.
And what is Mon doing to bankroll this this rebellion in its infancy? So yeah.
I liked how that quote also has Marva asking him to essentially reach out with his feelings, like the Jedi ask other Jedi to do. And it's in this way that even non-Force users can be like driven by finding their and following their true feelings. I thought that was really poetic. And in a lot of cases, Star Wars is about like fathers, you know, and this show seemed to be really more so about mothers.
Mhm.
Even Cyril's mother, who didn't get a scene in this last
Thank
one.
the Lord. I can't.
I wanted to see the uncle that she kept mentioning.
She's been referencing all season.
No, I'm good there too. I really wanted to see. I was like, is this the moment that Deidre kisses Cyril or straight up murders him? Like
I
that was like
know,
my brain. I was
right?
like, this is
Yeah.
gonna go either direction.
Yeah, she could have
Yeah.
done either way.
Her
And we still
acting in
don't
that
know.
scene.
Because it cut away, and I
Yes,
was
her,
like,
shaking.
I don't know what kind of signals she's sending here, but
Yeah.
I think Cyril's like, you don't have to say thank you, but if you want
You
to,
do have to come
I
home
wouldn't
with
mind.
me.
But yeah, I was ready for her to
It was
like,
creepy.
pull out a shiv,
She
or
was-
yeah.
Yeah, she was like, how?
Yeah.
And
She
is he
still
gonna be
doesn't
like, yeah, I
totally
was,
know
like,
how to deal
stalking
with
you?
him.
Yeah.
She's like, what the heck are you doing
because
here?
now you owe him your life,
Yeah.
and I feel like he's not gonna let you forget that. He's gonna be one of those guys that's like really annoying.
I'm
And a
so
puppy
bought
dog.
into their relationship. Like whatever that relationship is, it's gonna be toxic. It's gonna lead to both of them dead. And I'm just here for it. Like I care so much about that relationship now. That's one of the top 3 things I'm looking forward to in season 2.
I like the idea that he is obsessed with her, and she does not give in to that at all. Like she's
Yeah.
like, this guy
She's
is just a
clearly
lunatic.
weirded out by him.
Yeah, as she should be.
Yeah, she's weirded out by him, but I'm kind of upset that he chose her over Linus Musk. That's where my
Yeah.
'cause you see
Yeah.
him at the end like basically looking like a hobo drinking on the side. So, he left his bro.
Yeah, show me the
Yeah.
bromance.
Yeah, he gave up
Bros
everything.
before hoes.
Linus
That's
Musk
right.
risked it all for some cereal.
But
And
he got it to keep his hat.
yeah.
That was a cute little. I mean, I didn't really get what that was about.
Switching
but
hats at the beginning.
Yeah,
I love those two together. They're just
they're
like
just so silly.
I love it.
Like for no reason.
It's like buddy cop, but they're
Yeah.
on the side of the bad guys.
I
But
love it.
give me more of that in season 2 for sure. And I know, even though he isn't here to share in the joy of having him return, I know Christian was thrilled to see his
Absolutely.
boy back in the fray.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see Mosk third wheeling.
All right. Well, with that said, that puts us so far at a 57.47%. Let's just pretend for a second you're Christian. What
Do my
was your
best.
number?
From I did
0
not
to
average these. Honestly, I can give you my scores by category.
Yeah, I
There
can
you go.
throw them
Yeah.
in
If
here.
you can hook me up.
Mm-hmm.
So the music, I gave a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And B.
And B, characters, 4.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Immersive universe, 4.5 out of 5. Technical aspects, 5 out of 5. We saw some brutality, some street warfare, some pretty jaw-dropping violence for Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
give me that.
Heinous violence.
And story, 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
So I'm pretty
Wow,
You
high.
gave
so
it
you're
a
higher than me.
solid 90%.
Yeah.
87.47%. It'd be the second highest outside of episode 6, which, Amanda, you maybe remember the name of that episode.
The eye.
The Eye.
Oh yeah.
So if that remained true, then this show would end up indeed
Oh.
being an 80.41%, edging out Obi-Wan. We'll see what Christian says. He will not rank it that high.
Christian, I defer to you.
But if it did happen and it was correct, this would end up being pretty high up there. It looks like it would end up being it's up there for like the third highest piece of Star Wars content out there,
Yeah.
behind Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 5 and The Eye. So
If you disagree with that, let us know why. Let us know what you think is actually better from a series perspective.
yep.
Because so far, as a reminder, we've gone through now season 1 of Bad Batch, season 1 of The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now Andor. And of course, all of the films. So that is the entire Duel of the Ranks ranking so far.
That is all of them so far. All of them. But it's not the end of this episode, because we have the next segment of our show, which is Lord Vader Hit It.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
It is the hot take segment of the show. Jake, you're the guest. Go first. Do you have a hot take?
Shoot. You know, I did before watching this episode, but the events of the episode kind of sabotaged it for me. So
Really? What
I-
was your hot take?
it was that Andor's plot line was the least interesting in all of the series. The events that he experienced, I felt, were a lot less compelling than what was going on with Luthen and his accomplices and Mon. But seeing everything converge back at Ferrix, both from the ISB perspective to these operatives within the start of the rebellion, and Andor being smack dab in the middle of it where both sides want him, I'm like, okay, maybe I was a little critical on him up front because he has a much bigger part in this than I gave it face value. So I'm going to rescind that hot take. Why don't you two go? And if I come up with another one in the next couple minutes, I'll let you know.
I'll say for the first 11 episodes, I would agree with you. For what it's worth. For that non-hot take that you've rescinded.
That hot take is since cooled.
It's for that take. The cool take.
I'm gonna try for one. My hot take is, I was going to say B2 Emo is one of my least favorite droids. We kind of talked about that last week, how he doesn't really have a purpose. But I don't know if that's a hot take enough. That might be too milquetoast.
Then he is your least. See, I feel like if you to make it a hot take, you're like taking a more than a preference. You're like taking a stand. You're like, he is
Okay,
the
okay, I have a
worst
different one.
droid.
I have a different one. My hot take is that I don't think Marva is as good of a person as everyone else thinks that she is.
Ooh.
Why is that?
Because from like episode 1 or 2, when we're first learning about Cassian's background, she literally just like hopped onto a planet that she doesn't belong to and like stole a foreign kid and like adopted him out of nowhere. Like she just picked him up and took him with her. Like that's kind of kidnapping. And
Some light abduction.
yeah. And we never really like examined it, or like, did Cassian ever ask why he looks different than his mom? Does he like ask about the people that he grew up with back on Canary? His sister, his Marva was just like, forget about
Yeah,
her.
they really
Like
dropped that plot
she
line.
really made him forget everything about his like home planet and like move on from it. So I think that's pretty like white saviorism and not as good. And I'm surprised that went kind of unchecked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of her as a good person.
Yeah.
I just thought of her as like she's kind of just.
She was
wild.
obviously held in high regard by the people of Ferrix. Like, she was a prominent figure. She's like president of the Sisters of Ferrix, and the whole town showed up for
I
her
mean,
service.
maybe she knew kind of about their like the kids.
Then why didn't she adopt all of them?
Well, they weren't all as cute as him. Like,
There were some pretty cute ones.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
Look, if you got to pick a jungle kid and you got 5 seconds before the separatists come at you,
you don't take any of them. That's it's a tricked question.
don't take any of them.
Yeah,
Let them all get taken out by droids.
that's my hot take.
All right. I'm going to say, I don't know. My feathers aren't ruffled by it. So I'm going to say milquetoast, just because I never thought of her as like a good person anyway. Like,
know-
she's very clearly a very rebellious person at heart.
Yeah, but we don't really ever like touch on her like kidnapping Cassian.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Cassian doesn't have any animosity.
Why should we touch on it though? As the audience, we are expected to brush over it like the show does.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my point.
Just feels like a big event to kind of
But yeah, like,
that's done.
just forget that
let's,
she
let's
stole
get
this
back to moving the
kid.
plot forward. I will contrast, and I will give that a thumbs up.
Thank you.
I
love
agree
you.
that she's I love it too. She's a flawed character for sure. Almost took on that like folk hero status in
Mhm.
Ferrix, and there's more complexity to her than that. So I see where you're coming from.
With that said, you've earned a.
But I know if Christian was here, he would talk about how the show is all about the gray and how not every person in the show is supposed to have a little nuance to them.
Yeah.
They're
And how she
not
was
all good, not
a
all
very, very conservative figure in the community. I've got 2 hot takes for this. I've taken some time. I've thought about it. And while yes, politics is prevalent in this show. My take is, since obviously, I think there's evils, and when you go too far into any side of the spectrum,
Pardon me.
but whenever you do, you're probably, with anything in life, you eat too much cheese, you're probably going to have some gut issues, right? You go too far on any side of the spectrum, you're going to have problems. One of the problems of being too far right, from what I believe is too far right, is fascism. And these people, while I am on the other side, I don't necessarily believe this show is super left-leaning. I just believe you have a bunch of people who are like, fascism sucks. This has gone too far right.
So like Antifa?
I don't want to
Because
say
they're
they're that.
anti-fascist?
That's its own group. That's its own thing. But I would say all of the people that are fighting the empire right now are not fascists.
They're
So
anti-fascist.
they are anti-fascists at
Right.
heart. So whether or not they wear an Antifa pen is on them. But point being, I don't think this show, I don't agree with Christian on this show is like, it's not conservative, it's not liberal. I'm like, well, no, these people are pushing for views that are more left than what the empire stands for. Regardless of their monetary, fiscal, all these policies they may have and hold true at heart, these people, they are definitely depicting the evils of the far right and how
Yes.
they're fighting that. So that's my first thing that I don't know if either of you two will consider a hot take, because I already know where you stand. Like,
yeah,
that was
not a hot
your
take.
point. That was your
That was
point.
my entire point, and I love that you said it when Christian isn't here, so he can't even have a conversation with you about it.
Not at all. It's done. Jake, I don't even know if you have 2 thoughts on that.
I'm not going to contribute. That's been an ongoing discussion. I'm just a spectator on this one.
One of us
The
3
three
has to be a
hosts can hash
spectator.
that out.
One of us 3 has to be the spectator. It's been
Always.
me. I decided to, finally say something
He's
when
thrown his hat into the ring.
I don't think anything he said was controversial.
cool. So with all that to be said,
You fool! Your take is milk toast.
okay. So my second take. Now that I've said that, I think season 2 of Andor needs, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but after the first season, I don't think we need a lot. I don't think it needs to be Mando season 2 with Star Wars Easter eggs and characters. But I think we now have to enter the game where you are introducing a lot more stormtroopers, a lot more Imperial Star Destroyers. You obviously showed the Death Star. The stakes are just higher now. You're obviously showed, okay, we can rally people. And I think Luthen seeing Marva's speech and how it just inspired a group by her just stepping out into the light in a way that he never really did or has done, and the effect it had on the masses to disregard their own lives and fight, I think that event changed him. And because of that, and the larger of scale you go, the more bigger and bigger baddies you're going to face. I don't think that warrants a Darth Vader season 2 yet. But I do think at some point you will likely need a Vader-esque level person. I did want to see the Emperor this season, even in just that Senate type area, but obviously he doesn't even care anymore because it's a joke. But I would love to see this have a lot more Star Wars Easter eggs this second season. Doesn't have to be the biggest and the baddest folks that we've had before, but just more of that, because by the end, yeah, you're going to have some level of Palpatine involvement.
Bring back Orson Krennic.
Orson Krennic. Exactly.
Hopefully
Those kinds of, those are the flavors that we need to start working that way and involving a lot more of those folks going forward.
Maybe like Krennic like takes over Deidre's job or something. Like there's some sort of like fight for the
who
top.
is Deidre's boss reporting to?
Yeah.
Let's move up the ladder and see some of those heavy hitting Imperial officers.
I would love that. So that's my take. We need more Star Wars-y characters.
In
future
we had
seasons?
just talked about how this show did so good not relying on that.
Yeah, and that was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a bit milquetoast, Brody. I think it's a natural, inevitable progression of things. Not provocative. My feathers aren't ruffled. I'm gonna love to see it because I know it's coming, but
touche.
Just a little lukewarm for me.
Yeah, it's milquetoast.
Gosh darn it, 2 for 2. I should have really brought in the Marvel Leia thing like way later. I didn't. All right.
That was great.
Fool! Your take is milk toast.
Looks like, yeah.
I know we're supposed to go on to our trivia time section next, which I don't have a question for.
I do.
Okay, great. But I did want to ask the group, because this was the first episode of Andor that we had a post-credit scene. And as you mentioned, we get to see, if you haven't watched it, you've already listened to this much of the episode, so everything's already spoiled for you. But it was a scene of the parts that they were making in the prison being used to build the Death Star. And my question to you guys is, if you had a different post-credit scene that you would have liked to see.
Boba Fett.
No, The Mandalorian.
Like a backup.
No.
I would have been happy with Boba Fett. Yeah. I don't care.
I was actually having a conversation with a coworker of mine earlier today. We were both like messaging in anticipation of the finale, and Amanda had confirmed like there is going to be a post-credit scene. So I was telling him like stick around for that, and he's like, "Oh, well, it's got to be some kind of setup for season 2." And I took the time to write out a narrative of what I pictured going down in the post-credit scene that I'd love to read.
Go ahead.
Okay. The scene opens on a desert landscape at night. It's clear, cool, peaceful. As the scene is established, a lone ship can be seen in the night sky approaching the desert. The ship descends and lands in the middle of the dunes. Steam escapes as its ramp lowers. At the top of the ramp stands a hooded figure cloaked in black. The stranger leaves their ship, steps onto the surface of the planet, and gazes up at the night sky. They throw back their hood and reveal their face. The audience gasps as they realize the stranger is none other then Jar Jar Binks cut to black.
Oh, I thought that whole thing was leading to Darth Maul.
That's kind of what I was going for.
Oh yeah, Real Farm Boy says I hear fan fiction.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate
We
that.
need a whole series now. As Rural Farm Boy in the chat has mentioned, this is happening during the same time as my favorite show, Rebel Season 1. And I would have loved for the post-credit scene to be like Harrison Dula like sending out a comms message to someone else, or hearing Ezra's call to the rebellion that he makes on Lothal that is broadcasted out everywhere. That would have been so awesome, and it would plug Ahsoka coming next year.
Absolutely. I was hoping for that too, but all my hope vanished as soon as we got Marva's speech. I'm like, they're not going to do like back-to-back motivational, like rise and fight the Empire speeches, but that would have been
or
that
even
would have gotten me
Chopper.
out of my seat. Yeah. Show Chopper like finishing, like charging up, and his lights like flicker on.
Yeah, I would have loved that. I can't wait for more Rebels content.
I mean, it was cool to see it's building the Death Star, and it worked for this show because, yeah, like, all right, like they're clearly just trying to find ways to steal people off the street to build this weapon. So it did work for the show, and I'm glad they stuck with that because, yeah, it's not as like jaw dropping as a Boba Fett or a Jar Jar Binks,
Darth Jar Jar.
But it worked for the flavor of this show, and they stayed in what they built, and they didn't live on getting you excited about just another character. Like, it added more depth. It confirmed that they really don't care about anyone. They're just stealing people, to meet their goals. So, no, love that. With all that to be said, it is time for the last segment of our show. Force Ghost Charlie, take it away.
This is the way to trivia time!
All right, it is trivia time. Now, at the end of the episode, when they're all getting away, except for Andor, Cassian, they're all in a shuttle, and it's parked next to a heavy cargo shuttle. That's SW0608, in fact. And it is a shuttle which Cassian, Jyn, and the rest of Rogue One used to infiltrate Scarif.
Oh.
Yeah. Did
Wait,
not know
it
it's
is the Rogue One?
It is the same heavy cargo shuttle that is used to infiltrate Scarif.
Wow.
Yeah. So interesting. Now, what is the name of that class of shuttle? Is it a Beta class? Is it a Delta class shuttle? Is it a Felta class shuttle? Or
Did you just make
a Zeta class shuttle?
One of these is not like the others. I'm going to go with Beta class.
All right.
I'm gonna also go with Beta class.
It is a Zeta class.
Dang.
No one bid on
Felta.
Felta.
What the?
Yeah,
I don't think you
I
can do
was
that.
hoping someone would. Yeah, that
Wow,
Rural Farm Boy
Rural
knew.
Nice.
Got
Rural
it.
Farm
Well
Boy
done.
knew. Yeah, I thought that was a good trivia question.
That was a good
Absolutely. You
trivia
stumped
question.
me.
Just really hoping someone would bite on Felta.
If you would have thrown in like
I was-
two, I'm like, I'm
Felta
pretty sure
and
those are made
Schmelta.
up.
I was gonna say Feta. This ain't Beta. I was like, oh, Feta class shuttle. I was like, oh, that's too weird. So I went with Felta. I was like, well, that didn't make it much better. All right. Anyway, but yeah, no one got it right. So it was a good hard trivia question.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. Jake, you do quite a few things in this world outside of just loving Star Wars. In fact, I heard you like to play music in this small-time little band that gets millions of downloads and streams on Spotify and other platforms. So tell us a little bit about that band and where people can check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I play guitar in an indie pop band called The Real Zebos.
Not bass?
No, not bass. Come on, come on. Lead guitar, all 6 strings.
Wow.
You can find our music on all streaming platforms, big and small. We're also very active on social media, TikTok, Instagram are the big channels. Also on Twitter. Do a couple things on Facebook too. We have our own website, therealzebos.com. And 2 months ago to the day, we released our sophomore album, No Style, which you can check out at this very moment.
Wow.
It's full of hot jams.
Thank
And
you.
we got you on our show before you made it big leagues. I'll remember this day.
Yeah, there's plenty of room on the bandwagon to become a Real Zebos fan and a Duel of the Ranks fan.
I mean, one of
There
the
is crossover there.
one of the lead singers of the Real Zebos did our intro music.
Yeah. So and that intro music rocks
Yeah.
objectively.
So if you love the intro music, go check out the Real Zebos. And if you don't love the intro music, well, go check them out anyway. Because, like, come on, they're two separate things. It's not the entirely
Yeah,
the same.
it doesn't even have Jake's guitar in it.
It doesn't
so.
even have Jake's guitar in it. That's just one person. Can't blame the whole band. But if you do like it, well, then you're going to like it anyway. So, yeah, go check out the Real Zebos. And if you like Duel of the Ranks stuff, Amanda, where can people find us? Because if you ask me, I'm just going to say Google it.
If you Google us, you'll find us at dueloftheranks.com. There we have a list of all of our episodes and movies that we've ranked and where they fall. You can listen to past episodes, submit your own hot takes. We're also pretty active on Twitter and TikTok, so engage with us there. Let us know what you think we got right, and let us know your own hot takes so we can read them and discuss them on a future episode.
That's it. And last but not least, if you're listening to this and it's Thanksgiving for you, happy Thanksgiving. What a way to ring in a holiday than to review Andor. Yeah, we had to push this back a day. So if you're trying to check out our live stream on Thursday night, it's Thanksgiving Day. We had stuff to do. In fact, Christian couldn't even make it to this one. So we got this episode in. We watched Andor tonight and immediately did this review. So it's really raw, really fresh. It was a great episode. Thanks so much for checking it out. Next week, we're going to talk about something and we're going to review something.
But it'll be a surprise.
It's going to be a surprise to everyone, including us. I do know we have Mandalorian Season 2 coming up next. So I don't know if that's next week or if we're going to talk about Andor Top 10 Moments, but we'll put out some stuff.
We got Tales of the Jedi.
We have Tales of the Jedi. I think that's what we're talking about. Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out what it was.
We'll figure it out.
We have a schedule somewhere, and Christian's gone, and now we don't know what we're talking about. So anyway, we know we're talking about something. Check us out next Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Time. That is when we go live. We will see you then. Thanks so much for checking out this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks. We look forward to seeing you again next week.